Fight fans, we got our guy, Mr. Matchroom himself, on the line. A lot to talk about, Mr. Eddie Hearn.
What's up, brother?
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Eddie. A lot has happened since we were in Vegas last week. Canelo is down on a lot of people's pound for pound list. People are saying a lot of negative things about him, right? We got him. We created our own list. We still got Canelo at number two. But listen, what I want to know personally, and a lot of people out there want to know, is Canelo going to exercise that rematch clause? Is this rematch going to happen? Is that exactly what he wants?
Well, I mean, firstly, he's probably the most fierce competitor in the game, so whenever he gets beaten, it's like the automatic thing to do is to avenge the defeat. Every fighter wants to do that, especially if the name is Canelo Alvarez. I find the whole reaction remarkable, really. I mean, before the fight, it was supposed to be an easy win for Canelo Alvarez. We all knew, everyone who knew boxing knew how difficult this fight was. But right. I've said time and time again, Canelo Alvarez, Eddie Reynoso, they're searching for greatness all the time. And the problem with the sport of boxing is when people come out after and say, he shouldn't have taken that risk. It's like, what? What are you saying? He should have had an easy fight or a fight that he couldn't lose. It's going to get boring if Canelo Alvarez stays at 160, 168 and just keeps on defeating everyone. He has to do something outrageous to get beaten. And I think I listened to a lot of the sound bites from Fight Week, and mine was, he has no business being at 175 pounds. He has to handicap himself to get beat. And I cannot believe when I look at credible people like ESPN and Ring Magazine, and I look at their pound for pound rating, and they drop him to 6 or 7. It is unbelievable, the response. But it's only going to make him hungrier. And going back to your original question, there's two clear options now. One is to have the undisputed fight at 168, the trilogy with Gennady Golovkin, and then rematch Dmitry Bivol, because let me tell you, there is no way he is not rematching Dmitry Bivol, or you go straight into the Dmitry Bivol fight. Now, all of those fights, the fascinating thing, again, you go back to the Triple G fight, before the Bivol fight, when we were talking about Canelo Triple G, it was like, that's an easy fight for Canelo now. And you feel like if Canelo Alvarez would have beat Bivol, he would have been a huge favourite going into that fight. Now, remarkably, there are question marks over Canelo Alvarez. Oh, could Triple G beat him in the trilogy? So that fight becomes a lot more competitive. But in short, this week is moving week, for us to sit down with Saul and Eddie Reynoso and say, what do we want to do? Personally, I'm happy with either. I mean, the Triple G fight is still probably the biggest fight in boxing. The Bivol fight is so dangerous, so tricky. I mean, Canelo would go into the Bivol fight an underdog for the first time in his career.
Yeah, finally, that would make sense. I mean, we've always said that for a long time. I know I stressed to you, Eddie, that's not the fight for Canelo. I don't think he should be in that weight division, but it is what it is. He's greatness. Now,
yeah, but I don't. I mean, I saw Oscar De La Hoya's tweets.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. He says, it's not too late for you to come back to the best promoter. But what does that say to you?
We don't have any say over who Canelo Alvarez fights. I mean, I'd love to pretend that we have the power to decide what Canelo Alvarez does. Him and Eddie Reynoso will make all the decisions, and they wanted to chase greatness. And for Oscar, I think it's a bad look for boxing when Oscar basically says, "Look, I would have given you easier fights where you couldn't get beat." He doesn't want easier fights.
Right.
He'd rather retire.
No, but Eddie, I think he forgot that this was the guy, Canelo, who wanted to fight Lara, who wanted to fight Austin Trout, guys that he did not have to fight, back then. Guys who were very, very dangerous young in your career,
Yo, Eddie, you mentioned he doesn't belong at 175. I agree with you. Why do people look at that as an excuse? Now they're saying, oh, you're creating excuses for Canelo because you're saying he doesn't belong at 175. What do you say to those fans that say that?
Oh, that's just boxing act. We're all guilty of losing our minds as fans, aren't we? And coming up with outrageous suggestions. All I know is that, after that fight, I went back to the hotel with him. He was absolutely heartbroken. Now, he had an obligation to go to Resorts World. Many people didn't go. I didn't actually.
Yeah, you didn't go. Why didn't you go, Eddie?
Well, because one, I didn't know he was going to go. I didn't expect him to go. And two, because I was pretty, I was down. I was gutted for him. as well. And I don't feel like celebrating. I was a bit miserable after the fight as well, and I wanted to see him the next morning. The next morning we went out and played golf. I walked probably 8 or 9 holes with him, and we just walked the whole way talking. And I saw a wounded lion, which is exactly what you want to see. Exactly what you want to see. He was very, very sad, very upset, and that's what you want to see. If it didn't matter, if he didn't care, if his heart wasn't broken, that's when it's probably time to go. And he's miles from going. And I said to him, I said, what do you want to do? And he said, I want to get back as soon as possible, but I think he also wants to map out the future as soon as possible. And I think it's pretty simple. Like I said, it's Gennady Golovkin in September, or it's Bivol in September. But if it's Gennady Golovkin in September, it's Bivol after, because he ain't letting that go. Right. And it doesn't matter, when you talk about Oscar's comments, it doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what anyone says. It just matters what Saul and Eddie Reynoso say. Yeah. And if they want to rematch, they feel they can beat him. And if they feel they can beat him, if he feels he can avenge that defeat, that fight is happening. And
what do you want to happen, Eddie? What is it? If it was your decision, what decision would you make?
Well, I'm a little bit biased because I just love the Gennady Golovkin trilogy. And now I think it's even more intriguing because he's coming off a defeat. If he was to lose to Gennady Golovkin, where does he go? You're talking about losing at 175, losing at 168. You're no longer a world champion. Of course, he's Canelo Alvarez, but still back-to-back defeats like that. So all the pressure right now is actually heaped on Canelo Alvarez. And you don't know what defeat is going to do to a man like that. We know he suffered one years ago against Floyd Mayweather. He was a young man then. Can he bounce back? Is he affected by that? Has his confidence gone? All these different roles but also I would love to see the rematch. I think if I was advising him, or if he actually listened to what I thought, which he'll ask me my opinion, but as I said, we don't make the decisions. Right. I would probably go Triple G, Dimitri Bivol. That's what I would probably do. And we'll give Dimitri Bivol a big fight, in September, October, whether that's Waxy Richards winner, whether that's Callum Smith, whether that's Ramirez, but the rematch is a mega fight. You've got the two biggest fights in boxing right now actually are Canelo against Triple G and Canelo against Bivol rematch. Of course AJ Usyk as well and the winner of that. But these are really the biggest fights in boxing. So whatever way, you're not going to be disappointed.
Would it be intriguing if Bivol fights the winner of Smith Beterbiev and becomes undisputed? Then Canelo fights Triple G, beats him, and then fights Bivol for the undisputed light heavyweight crown?
Cool. That's now you're talking too much sense, Zach. It's very difficult. It's very difficult because Canelo's not going to want to lose the opportunity. It's for Canelo now. It's not about becoming undisputed at 175. It's about beating Dimitri Bivol, belt or no belt. It's just another dimension now to the way this guy thinks. So he'll just be thinking, I don't want to lose that opportunity. He probably doesn't want to see Beterbiev against Bivol because he doesn't want to lose the chance to rematch Bivol. Even though after that performance, I would say Bivol is a big favourite against Beterbiev, to be honest with you. And it's a great fight. And we'll see how he gets on against Joe Smith. But that performance from Bivol was incredible.
Yeah, I always thought Bivol is a favorite against any fighter in his division. But how was it being the promoter of the two and being in the middle of it and showing your heart so much for Canelo?
But you have to be real. The last thing I want to be I love Dimitri Bivol. I think he's a great guy. Yeah. But I was Team Canelo for that fight. And I'm not into pretending that I'm not. And he gets beat and then jumping up and down with Bivol and I was upset because I wanted Canelo Alvarez to win. And it's no disrespect to Dimitri Bivol because I got him the opportunity I always promised I'd give him. But I have become very close to Sal, closer than I am to Dimitri Bivol. Still respect him, still do a great job for him. And although we joke, Frank Smith is with those guys on a day-to-day basis. And, it's a bit awkward. And I hate doing fights where you've got two fighters in a fight. But at the same time, if I'm upset, you're going to see I'm upset. And that's what I think people like that as well at the same time. If I'm happy, you're going to see me jumping around everywhere. If I'm upset, you're going to see my face sulking. And I did notice Frank Smith.
I did notice Frank Smith posting pictures with Bivol on Instagram. Like,
Yeah, of course.
I'm on
I
this
did have
side.
one
I'm on
picture
this
with it.
side.
Yeah, that's fine. But I always said to him, I promise you will get your shot and the rest is up to you. And by the way, I was delighted for Dimitri Bivol. Like, as much as I was disappointed for Saul, I was delighted for Dimitri because he's a fine young man.
Great guy.
And he deserved his shot of greatness.
Right, he is. He definitely is. All right, so you definitely think very, very bad things of Oscar. You're there still to give Canelo some advice. You think is the Triple G. Now, we were kind of scared that he might go to Triple G and lose that opportunity because what if Beterbiev beats Bivol? You know, that sucks. But
what if Triple G beats Canelo? I mean, like right now, you just don't know how this loss is going to affect him because a little bit of invincibility has gone. Even though it was at 175, even though we know he's not 100, still, we saw a guy who we felt was unbeatable get beaten.
Maybe he finally gets credit. Back? Maybe if now that people know how serious Bivol is and he wins a rematch against Bivol, maybe now he gets the credit he wouldn't have got had he beaten him the first time.
Of course.
Well,
of course.
Yeah, and that was the danger of the fight because it was a bit sort of no win. If you beat Bivol, everyone goes, "Oh, who's Bivol?"
Exactly.
Right?
Yes, but not if Bivol goes down to 168. If he goes down to 168 to challenge Canelo, then that right there will take away. If Canelo wins, it'll take away a little bit of Canelo's credit because they'll say, "Oh, you drained him."
And he can do it though. And by the way, the amazing thing is that Bivol would have agreed to fight at 171, no problem.
Oh, wow.
Bivol would have done the rehydration clause, no problem.
Wow.
Canelo didn't want it because he says if I'm going to challenge myself at 175, it's got to be real.
Yeah.
But again, no one gives him credit for that either.
We did speak to Bivol after the fight and we asked him about that, and he said, not that he jumped the gun when he said that, but he said, I'm not 100% sure I can make 168. Maybe, but I'm not sure.
I don't think Sal would want that fight at 168.
Right, absolutely.
Because it's not, he lost at 175. Yeah, he will want the same conditions in the rematch.
Eddie, you have an exclusive for us. What's going on with Usyk and Joshua?
Well, I think you're always chasing these exclusives, aren't you? But I hope that this week we will get it done. I mean, look, July 23rd in the Middle East is for sure the front runner right now. We're closing contracts around that date. It's not done. It's not signed. But we are, 9-10 weeks away from that fight now. So it's ready. It's ready to go. It's ready to get that fight announced. It's ready to let these boys start bashing up sparring partners and getting ready for the Unified Heavyweight World Championship. So I think you can expect announcement. Obviously, this week we've got a big show in Bilbao on Friday in Spain and then O2 on Saturday. So maybe around those shows, if not very early next week, we're looking to give you boys the official announcement.
All right, random question before we get out of here, Eddie. Will you be attending George Kambosos versus Devin Haney in Australia?
I won't be attending Kambosos Haney because we have Cordina against Agawa.
Oh, yes.
The same night for the IBF Super Featherweight World title. But I will be in Australia a couple of weeks after that because we're ready for our first show in September in Australia. We're working on that now. We'll have it announced soon. Very excited about that. And of course, although we have a show on June 4th, the time zones won't clash and I'll be watching that fight, hoping that Devin Haney can do the business.
Wow. Okay, Eddie, we can't let you get out of here without showing your talents. And your talents as a promoter is being able to sell things. And we love for you to sell the unsellable. Last time you sold sand in the desert, you actually had me fooled. I bought some. Now we would like for you to sell ice in Antarctica. 30 seconds, Eddie.
Barak, have you ever seen the Antarctic? It is the most beautiful, stunning place. And ice epitomizes Antarctica. Ice is everything you need in Antarctica.
But I have it all over
because
here.
No, but Barak, you haven't had Antarctic ice. What are you talking about? You live in New York. When have you sampled real, authentic ice? Never. And when you do, it will change your life forever. It will increase your blood flow. It will make you more focused. It will enhance your metabolism. But only Antarctic ice. This is the future. Ice in Brooklyn does not exist.
Stop eating that ice in Brooklyn, New York.
Where'd you get this enhance your metabolism from? I don't know how you came up with that one. That was good. That was good.
All right, Eddie, listen, looking forward to getting an exclusive next week. And, thanks for the time, as always.
All right, guys, take care.
All right.